Well, friends, bye bye World X. I feel very compelled. Well, I've always felt compelled. I've just been putting it off for a very long time. You know, I've touched on this a few times on my P Monster channel and also this channel a little bit. And at this time in my life, I feel like it's important for me to go through the anatomy of these situations and, you know, these types of people so that I am doing my part to help others in a position that I know is extremely painful and confusing as I emerge myself. And I feel right now is the right time. Sorry, I'm in my car. I am in my car. But yeah, I feel like right now it's probably better if I start this while my observations and feelings and understanding is fresh. Now I'm going to tackle this from a variety of angles, and because it's fresh for me, I feel like I'm able to discuss this from different angles. So yeah, there's going to be multiple videos on this topic coming up, so if you're interested, sit tight. If you're not sure where you stand, subscribe and find out, because we're going to go there. We're going to go down into forbidden territory here and expose that which should be exposed and brought to light, because you know, you don't cleanse darkness without bringing it into light, and I agree with that 100%. And so my first topic that I would like to talk about is the narcissist is not your friend. If you have experience with a narcissist, or you're in a situation where you're not sure if you're dealing with a narcissist, like it smells like one and looks like one and walks and talks like one, but you know, it still smiles to your face, just listen to this. Well, first of all, listen to your instincts. At a certain point, like, and when I say narcissist, I don't necessarily mean, you know, a diagnosable narcissist. I am also referring to people who follow patterns of narcissistic behavior, even if it comes from a place of trauma. Yeah, even if it comes from a place of self-preservation. Like, it's a spectrum. It isn't always predatory and it isn't always sinister. It's just a broken person. Like, across the board, you will find that what makes these behaviors, where it comes from, is from a very deep place of brokenness. And that brokenness is it's like a gaping void, and that person is constantly trying to fill it. You see what I'm saying? A lot of times it will be at the expense of people that don't deserve that. Yeah, I'm going to refrain from calling them narcissist, because it doesn't, I don't think it's a blanket term. I don't know, I'm hesitant to stray from the word, because as we talk about this, I don't want people to forget what we are referring to. If I said broken people, like, that could go for anything, but we're going to call it people with narcissistic patterns of behavior. What you'll find with people who have narcissistic patterns of behavior is that they will assimilate. They will try to become you, or, you know, someone you observe. They will try to become the person that they either envy or are trying to win the trust of. Probably not limited to those two things, but I'm sure if you've had experience with a narcissist, you've noticed mirroring, like repeating things that you say. And at first it's like, oh, that sounds familiar, but then you'll realize they're repeating you. Or they're repeating another person that you both know, you know, because they have to assimilate your situation to be able to feed off your situation in order to boost themselves to where they feel like winners, like they are winning in this little imaginary competition in their head. You know, they have to, in their mindset, like, they have to constantly compete to be able to feel on top. They have to bring others down in order to feel alive, normal, worth something, valuable, you know. But yeah, assimilation. You're not crazy if you notice things you've said or things others have said being repeated by this person. And usually like in a way that manipulates the situation. So if they're trying to win the trust of someone, they're going to repeat things that that person has said in order to build comfort. Okay, so it's not necessarily their own feelings, but rather I know the steps to gain that person's understanding and empathy. I know what to say because I've heard them say it, and I will repeat it, or I will use what that person. If they're assimilating you, they will often repeat things that you have said to make themselves look virtuous. No joke. Like, it's not a joke. Like, you're not crazy if you notice that. You're not crazy for noticing that there's an echo in the room that makes this person look like a saint. Okay? That's what it's for. They're assimilating you. Okay? So a lot of times when I need to stay on topic because there's so many ways to tackle this, and we need to do that. But right now I want to talk about the narcissist not being your friend, the person with narcissistic patterns of behavior not being your friend. And you will know if you have experience with people who follow a narcissistic pattern of behavior. You know it's a very fine line between love and hate. That's a saying, but like in this case, like this is it. There is a very fine line when you're dealing with someone on the spectrum of narcissism. There's a very fine line between love and hate. It's very easy to get on the side of hate. They will very easily flip to that, you know. And one thing that I have noticed is anything they say or do, say that you call a person with narcissistic patterns of behavior, say you call them out on those behaviors. The immediate response is to be upset, usually. They don't like that. They don't like that you can see that. And a lot of times they will find ways of punishing you or retaliating with you. However, if it would serve them to make peace with you, they will go out of their way to do that. You may even get a little apology. You might even get that, but just know it's not sincere. The moment that any of that doesn't work and you show that it doesn't work, they will flip on you instantly. Instantly. They're only willing to give a certain small amount. They want to give this to win your trust back so that they can continue to benefit from whatever situation they are trying to preserve in your life. If their supply becomes threatened, whether it's you or your family or, you know, a friend you share, if their supply becomes threatened by you calling it out, they will either retaliate against you, play the victim, or under the right circumstances, you may even get an apology in order to win your trust back. If it seems like you were on the fence of what you observed, they will probably try to butter that and, you know, clear their name in your head. Now, how do you know that this is the case and it's not just someone genuinely apologizing? Is that it will be accompanied by truth bending. The truth will be bent in order to paint themselves as innocent or unknowing or unaware, or like they were looking out for you the whole time and you just didn't know. If you've been in a situation with a person who has narcissistic patterns of behavior, you probably know what I'm talking about. it'll make, it's almost like they try to pull the wool over your eyes, or gaslight. I guess that's what they call it, gaslighting. That's what gaslighting is. Even if you get the teeny tiniest admission to any fault, like you will be able to hear the surrounding discussion is filled with holes, if that makes any sense. And so when you see that, don't brush it under the rug. You see all of that for a reason. When you have the opportunity to see the bigger picture and your little voice inside is saying, this doesn't feel right still, I feel like I am being manipulated and buttered up, I feel like if I say or do the wrong thing, such as standing up for yourself, the wrong thing, one thing they don't like is if you stand up for yourself. If you continue giving this person a place in your life as a friend after they've, smoothed things over with a bit of deceit, if you continue to include this person in your life, the moment you stand up for yourself, say there's something that they do that you didn't like, that you called them out on, and they said, oh, I understand now, and then they go on and do the exact same thing, and you say something, they're going to be upset at you. That's how quickly it changes from love to hate, because you're making them work. You're putting them in a place that makes them uncomfortable, which is a place of, empathy, having empathy for other people, and they don't want to do that. They don't want to have to do that. The only way that they can do that is when they're feeding on someone. And they'll empathize the crap out of that person. They'll idealize that person. They will, they will butter that person up to high heavens. And unfortunately, often that is mistaken as empathy and understanding and friendship and love. The reality is, even that person that gets favored and idealized is on very thin ice as well. The moment that person becomes wise to the antics and the thirst and the void, the moment that person becomes aware of the person with narcissistic patterns of behavior's void, the moment they try to pull away, you will see, or they will see, that the void is unhappy. When the void supply is threatened, you'll have reactions from that person, like almost pushing you away or punishing you in a sense for pulling away, or even thinking about pulling away or cutting off your emotional connection. The moment they sense any of that on you, the moment they sniff that on you, you will see the person that you thought was a friend will pull away in such a way that will confuse you, because it's like, oh, I thought we had this understanding. I thought they were looking out for my best interests as well. I thought they cared about me, and if something made me uncomfortable, like, why wouldn't they respect my desire to put some space? That's what a normal person would do. But when you're dealing with a person who is broken, with the gaping void and the narcissistic patterns of behavior, you will get punished, basically. Like, they will say stuff to make you feel bad. It's almost like a attachment, like backwards attachment, where they'll say, oh, you don't care about me anyway, just to reel you back in, kind of. Or they will, threaten to, I don't think we should be friends anymore. I don't think I want to come over next week. That's what you will see. It's very subtle at first. But if you stand your ground, it'll get worse. They will paint you like the bad guy. Unfortunately, when people are inexperienced and it gets to the point of, oh, I don't think, the narcissistic person or person with patterns of narcissistic behavior, when they start saying, oh, you don't really care about me anyway, or, you know, I don't think we should be friends, unfortunately, a lot of people will jump right back in and give them what they want. Like, for example, they would be like, oh, no, it's not that I don't care, you know, it's just, you know, ABC. And it's like, well, if you care, you know. And unfortunately, like, that's exactly what they were asking for. It may not seem like much for you, but to have your feelings and your energy back focused on them is what's important. And also to make sure that you are not actually taking your supply away. It's secure again. In fact, they begin feeding right at that moment that you show any falter. The moment that you falter just a little bit, they'll start to feed on you again. And it's like, yeah, there you are. You're sucked in. Call it hoovering. Maybe a mini version of hoovering, which is where when you put a boundary between you and the narcissist, it's like they will navigate in a way to pull you back in and pull your attention back in. Also to pull the wool over your eyes. A lot of people fall for it like that. I can't blame them, especially if they thought they had a real friend. But the person with narcissistic patterns of behavior is not your friend. They're their own friend. At the end of the day, they're not looking out for you. The only time that they will put on an act that appears that they're looking out for you is when you are being manipulated and deceived into trusting them. Such as if they are being called out. If you have a person with narcissistic patterns of behavior who is being called out, oftentimes, you know, I did say there's retaliation. There absolutely will be retaliation, but it will be very subtle, very passive-aggressive. However, to the people whose trust they still want to maintain, they will play the victim. Mark my word. Mark my word. They will paint the person who has called them out as the evil one. And they will say, oh, I'm so innocent. I don't know. You know, I tried. I wanted so badly for this to, you know, to be a good person and you have, you know, be good, have a good connection with this other person, but they just don't like me. That's what you will see. Victimizing. Meanwhile, your mutual friends will say, oh yeah, we understand. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with that person. I don't know why they don't like you. While that's going on, you will have a person with narcissistic patterns of behavior taking stabs through every available hole that is left open on you for calling them out. Mark my word. So, what do we do? What do we do in these situations? Honestly, as highly sensitive people, I'm assuming if you've gotten this far, you might actually also be a highly sensitive person. I know I am. I know I am highly intuitive. I am highly empathetic. I understand now, after a few life experiences, how that can be taken advantage of by bad people. And so over the years, like, I've been exposed and I've learned saying no doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't mean that I don't empathize with someone else's brokenness. I have just learned to see brokenness in other people and not take it upon myself to try and fix it. There's some brokenness that you simply cannot fix. There's some brokenness that is so deep that only that person, if they're lucky, will become aware of and take the steps and the therapy to fix those patterns of behavior. And even when I'm saying that, it's just like, you know, with these kind of people, even if they say, oh, okay, I'll go to therapy, I've been a jerk, you know, I'm gonna learn my way out of these behaviors, you know, don't leave yet, let me fix it, you know, 9 times out of 10, it's not with the intent to grow, but with the intent to hoover you back in. Just be aware of that. You can judge based on their actions. I'm not saying everyone who becomes aware of these things can't make a difference in their own life and how they see the world. I'm simply saying with these types of people, you just have to go based on action, because words don't go very far. Their actions, however, can cut very deep. And that's what we have to protect ourselves from when we are interacting with these types of people. The words are very shallow. Like, you'll grow to know that the words are very shallow, and you'll know the words don't really, when you see the depth of their actions and then how they're willing to lie and deceive in order to excuse those actions, like, you will know how sincere their words can possibly be. And unfortunately, a lot of times they're not sincere words. They're self-serving words. Even any apology to you is self-serving to them, because they're only doing it because they have something to lose in the situation, whatever it may be. Just know, it is never about you. It is never about anyone except the person with narcissistic patterns of behavior. It will always be about them. When it serves them, they will dance. When it doesn't serve them, they will put up a wall, be angry, whatever serves them. To be nice to somebody, okay, they will do it, but there will be a very thin line between that niceness and the hate that they really feel inside for you. Don't forget that. I feel like I'm rambling here, but yeah, the narcissist is not your friend. People with narcissistic patterns of behavior are probably not your friends. And don't ever think for 1 second that you have to allow yourself to be exposed to that energy. You don't. If it's a situation where you're in your workplace and, it's your boss or your coworker, some contacts you can't change, unfortunately, in those types of situations. But what you can do is detach. You don't have to interact with that person more than is necessary. You can see those tactics that they will use, victimizing themselves to your peers, or even little stabs at you through that facade, while everyone thinks they're an angel, and then you can see, wait, that what they just said was a stab at me, or what they just did was to provoke me. You can become aware of those things and simply do not feed it. They will try. They will absolutely try. And the sad thing is, like, that when you're surrounded, like, when you have people, like mutual friends, who don't see it, a lot of times they get turned around in such a way where they think you are the bad guy. That's insane. That's how it works. The best thing you can do is simply nothing. Simply not react. At the end of the day, people will make their own choices. At the end of the day, people need to learn for themselves. We can't change that. Unfortunately for some, by the time they learn, it's because, I have an analogy. There's smoke coming from the building. People say, hey, there's smoke coming from the building. It might be on fire. And you look at it and say, well, that doesn't necessarily mean there's a fire. It's a little strange, but it may not be a fire, And it just continues, and there's more and more smoke. It's just like, hey, do you see that smoke over there? No, it could be anything. Oh, maybe they're just barbecuing. Or, it's probably not going to hurt anyone. I just, And then eventually that building will burn into a crisp. And then you can look back and say, oh, shit. The building was on fire. Wow. It really was burning down. Unfortunately, we've already lost the building. Unfortunately, the building is already hurt, but sometimes people don't get a chance to learn until their building is burned. Some people are like that. I think I was like that. That's why I got into, situations previously where I learned these things. It's because I didn't understand that the smoke meant there was a fire. In other words. And so, I walk into these situations, and then next thing you know, the building is burnt down, and it's like, duh, why didn't you see it? I mean, I don't beat myself up for it. But I still had to go through the process and the trauma of that burnt building, if you get what I mean. Honestly, it could have been a lot worse. But some people just have to learn like that. The best thing that you can do if you encounter someone with narcissistic patterns of behavior is acknowledge it, protect your energy, distance yourself, separate yourself from that situation if you can, Just, you know, you don't have to make a scene. Just say, okay, this friendship is not right for me, and move on. Go no contact if you need to. Your heart will tell you what is the safest route to go based on that person. Protect your energy. If you are in a situation where you still have to interact with this person, keep it minimal. Protect your energy. Acknowledge the manipulation tactics. You don't have to engage. Absolutely don't engage with it, because that's all that they need to fill their void is your engagement. No matter how small it might feel to you, to them it's their whole world. I said something that made her, you know, wince her eyes. Ooh, you know, they like that. The best thing you can do, acknowledge this person's tactics, the manipulation. You can already know they're probably going to try to manipulate you. They're probably going to try to take stabs at you. They're probably going to play the victim with mutual friends. But what can they actually say about you when you're not even interacting with them or speaking about them anymore? They can only make you look so bad to those mutual friends. At that point, all they will have is to say, oh, I want so badly to be, you know, Sarah's friend. I really want to be Sarah's friend, but she just doesn't like me, you know? That's what they have. And for some of those mutual friends, it might be enough to say, oh, Sarah's a bad person. Oh, Sarah's being a bitch, you know? What can you do? Protect your energy at all costs. That's all you can do. Don't engage. Acknowledge it. And nothing. Like, that's it. That's all you can do. Just let people learn on their own. You can't change what they think or feel. And I feel like if you do step up and try to say something, you will instantly get painted as the bad guy, because they will turn on that charm with the believers. We'll call them the believers of the person with narcissistic patterns of behavior. They're still completely in the dark of what is actually going on. Yeah, I don't want this to get too long. We're going to talk about this. There's so many aspects to discuss, and I meant to do it on my P-Monster channel years ago. And I just kind of fell off, you know. But now is the time. Take care of yourself. Don't doubt yourself. You got that little voice in you. If you are still here on this channel and you're still listening to this video all the way, 20 minutes in? Probably less than 20 minutes in. But close to 20 minutes, if not past 20 minutes, then chances are you have a little voice inside you that tells you something is not right. Listen to that voice. When you start listening to it and you act on it and you begin to allow to guide you, like, that voice will get louder and louder and louder to where it's impossible to ignore. Now, when other people try to tell you, oh, I don't see what you're seeing, no, your voice is roaring. They may not have it, but yours is roaring, and to not listen to it would be like devolving, de-evolution for you. Don't let that happen. You don't have to devolve to keep others happy. Don't do it. Listen to what your little voice, big little voice is saying. The more you listen, the bigger it gets. And I'll leave it at that. I just want to add, I know for highly sensitive people, the pain is real. Dealing with stuff like this hurts. But I think we have a job here. When we can... Sorry, the color is getting messed up. When we can understand these things through and through in a way that is very attentive to the smaller details of it, I think we have a duty to help others. That's what we do. We cleanse. We take the darkness and we cleanse it. We might cry a little bit. We process it. and we release it back into the world in a way that is helpful. We take hurt and we convert it into knowledge, understanding, and help for others, and love. That's what we do. That is our job. Don't doubt yourself. And it may seem like you always have to go through these painful situations, but in reality, I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself. I feel like I feel like there's a job that needs to be done as people who can see darkness. I feel like there is a job that needs to be done. And I can't force other people to step up and do that job. We all have different ways of processing things, but I feel it is my job to speak up and try to help others. I'm here to help people. I have a hard time socially, but there's other ways of helping people, and I think this is one of them for me. So yeah, if you are also in the same boat, just know, we are warriors. This is our job. We convert the darkness into light. We expose that darkness, shed light on it, so that we allow others to see where the darkness lies. That way the darkness cannot win. The darkness cannot conquer any further when we shed our light on it. And that is it. Have a good day.